Thunder rolled across the distant hills as Brenner and Dylan's vacation took an unexpected turn. The couple had been looking forward to their getaway, a chance to escape the daily grind. She, an elite trained soldier, and he, a dedicated policeman. Little did they know their peaceful retreat would soon spiral into nightmare. The first sign of trouble came on the winding mountain road. A truck roared past them, its driver, a rough-looking man, leering at Brenner and shouting inappropriate comments before cutting them off aggressively. The incident left a sour taste in their mouths, but they brushed it off, pulling into a roadside restaurant to regroup. While Dylan freshened up in the restroom, Brenner chose a table outside, enjoying the mountain air. Her solitude was short-lived. The truck driver, Butch, as she would later learn, reappeared like a bad penny. His harassment escalated, getting uncomfortably close until Dylan emerged, tension crackling between the men as they faced off. "Got a problem?" Dylan's words cut through the air. Just as the situation threatened to explode, an elderly woman intervened, her presence diffusing the powder keg. With grandmotherly warmth, she apologized for Butch's behavior, explaining that the town wasn't used to seeing such a lovely couple. She insisted they call her Mom, like everyone else did. After dinner, the couple drove deeper into the woods, finding what seemed like a perfect camping spot. Their peace was interrupted by a female police officer who appeared with an ominous warning. The locals weren't fond of outsiders, and caution was essential in these parts. Taking a hiking break after the officer's departure, they came to a fork in the trail. When Dylan asked which way to go, Brenner's instincts led them left. As if on cue, rain began to fall, driving them toward a mysterious cabin that appeared through the mist, a shelter that seemed almost too convenient in the growing storm. As they approached, the romance of a rain-soaked adventure still lingered in their minds, masking the danger that awaited. The cabin's rustic interior briefly created an illusion of romance, a fleeting moment of peace before their world shattered. While exploring their temporary shelter, Brenner's military instincts led her to a horrifying discovery, a hidden compartment packed with ammunition. Her blood ran cold. "Dylan," she whispered urgently, her voice tight with fear. "We need to check outside, now." The couple's attempt to escape came too late. Butch emerged from the shadows like a nightmare, the butt of his gun connecting with devastating force. Their world went black. They awoke to a horror show. Bound and helpless, Brenner was forced to watch as her beloved Dylan endured unspeakable torture at Butch's hands. Each scream, each moment of suffering carved itself into her memory. The psychological warfare was precisely calculated. Watching her husband's pain was worse than any physical torment they could have inflicted on her. The revelation of Dylan's identity as a police officer sparked a brief moment of panic in Butch's eyes. He entered the room with an eerily calm demeanor, his words dripping with false sincerity. "I need to apologize to you guys," he said, drawing his weapon. "I didn't know you were a cop." The gunshots that followed were deafening. What their attackers didn't know, as they dumped the bodies into that hastily dug grave, was Brenner's true identity. Flashbacks revealed her past, grueling military training that had forged her into something far more lethal than any ordinary soldier. The bullets that should have ended her life had merely grazed her, leaving her unconscious but very much alive. When consciousness returned, the first thing she did was check her beloved Dylan. Finding him lifeless, she tenderly covered his body with branches, her tears mixing with the soil. Back at their campsite, grief transformed into self-recrimination, that fateful decision to take the left path replaying in her mind like a cruel loop. But as the sun set on that terrible day, something else awakened in Brenner. Her military training, her strength, her very essence crystallized into a single burning purpose. They had taken everything from her, believing they'd kill just another helpless victim. They were wrong. Dead wrong. And soon, they would learn exactly who they'd messed with, one bullet at a time. In the gathering darkness, Brenner began to plan. They had unleashed something far more dangerous than they could imagine. A highly trained operative with nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. The weight of an axe in her hands felt right as Brenner emerged from the grave that was meant to be her final resting place. While she moved with deadly purpose through the woods, a disturbing scene unfolded at Mom's house, revealing the true horror of this backwoods kingdom. Butch, drunk on power and impunity, forced himself on a terrified woman while the townspeople looked away, their faces masks of resigned fear. This wasn't an isolated incident. These monsters had been preying on innocent women for years, protected by a web of silence and complicity. Only Mom dared interrupt Butch's latest assault, her voice carrying an authority that even he respected. "Eat quick, got work for you." Meanwhile, Brenner was becoming the nightmare they never saw coming. Her military training merged with raw grief as she fashioned a wooden weapon with surgical precision. The first of Butch's men fell silently, efficiently, though each kill left a mark on her soul. This wasn't who she was meant to be, but they'd forced her hand when they took Dylan from her. The forest became her hunting ground. Another man fell to her vengeful blade. The third escaped with 1 foot less than he arrived with, his screams echoing through the trees as he dragged himself to safety, a message crawling back to his masters. Brenner's next move was bold. She turned Butch's ammunition-laden cabin into an inferno, the explosion lighting up the evening sky. The blast drew attention from all quarters. Sheriff Hobbs emerged, weapon ready, trying to piece together the unfolding chaos. At Mom's house, the explosion sent Butch into a panic. Watching smoke rise from his precious cache, Mom's orders were clear. Go check! What Butch found in the forest was a nightmare. His wounded companion, another victim of the vengeful ghost in their woods. As he rushed his friend to safety in his truck, he remained oblivious to the predator who had become prey. Brenner, silently lying in wait in the truck bed, turning his vehicle into her Trojan horse. Back at Mom's, Butch's report of their mounting casualties earned him more than just Mom's fury. Her hand cracked across his face, years of carefully maintained order crumbling around them. Find them, she commanded, revealing herself as the puppet master of this twisted operation, her network of evil spreading far deeper than anyone suspected. The hunting ground had shifted, the predators were becoming prey, and at the center of it all, a widow's vengeance was just beginning to unfold. Mom's operation ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. In a dimly lit room filled with humming computers, one of her tech specialists pulled up Brenner's profile at her command. The color drained from Mom's face as the truth emerged. Their victim was a highly trained military operative. They hadn't just killed a cop. They'd awakened a trained killer's fury. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hobbs stood in the forest, staring down at the mutilated body of one of Butch's men. His radio crackled as he called it in, his voice heavy with the weight of what he'd discovered. As his team arrived, one deputy pulled him aside with a grim revelation. This was Mom's territory. The elderly woman everyone called Mama wasn't just some sweet local matriarch. She owned these woods, and nothing happened here without her say-so. Brenner had been busy. The forest was becoming her arsenal, deadly traps laid with military precision. Each snare and pitfall was a promise of retribution, turning Mom's kingdom into a killing ground. The corruption ran deep. Even the dispatcher, who warned Mom about the sheriff's impending visit, was on her payroll. When Hobbs arrived with his men, Mom played her part perfectly, all innocent concern and confusion. Her explanation for the dead man was almost insulting in its simplicity. Suicide, plain and simple. The sheriff's eyes said he knew better, but his silence spoke volumes about Mom's reach. That night, Mom's family gathered to mourn their fallen brother, drowning their sorrows in bottles of whiskey. One by one, they succumbed to drunken stupor. Butch, still hungover, stumbled through the house in the early hours, straight into Brenner's waiting blade. She watched the life drain from his eyes, Dylan's murderer gurgling his last breath on the floor. But what Brenner discovered next changed everything. As she maintained her hidden position, she witnessed one of Mom's men dragging a terrified girl into a locked room. The muffled sounds from other rooms told an even darker story. This wasn't just about her revenge anymore. Mom's operation was a human trafficking ring, with countless women held captive in this backwoods hell. Brenner's mission suddenly expanded. Her military training hadn't just prepared her for revenge, it had prepared her to be these women's salvation. The predators who'd taken her husband had been preying on innocent victims for years. Now, they were about to learn the true meaning of justice at the hands of a woman who'd been trained to deliver it. In the shadows, Brenner began to formulate a new plan. This wasn't just about avenging Dylan anymore, it was about dismantling a criminal empire and freeing its victims, one dead captor at a time. The sight of those imprisoned women ignited something fierce in Brenner's heart. Slipping into the makeshift prison, she began freeing the terrified captives, their eyes wide with disbelief at the prospect of escape. Fear, however, ran deep. A sudden scream shattered the silence as one girl's nerve broke. Gunfire erupted, bullets tearing through the air and through one of the fleeing women. Brenner's response was instantaneous and lethal, her combat skills turning her into a blur of precise violence. The armed guard never stood a chance. Go, 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 go! Her commands cut through the chaos as she shepherded the survivors to safety. Among them was Emily, who stuck close to Brenner as they fled into the forest's embrace. Back at the compound, Mom's world was crumbling. The news of Butch's death and the prisoner's escape sent her into a murderous rage. Find that woman, she screamed, mobilizing every man and dog at her disposal. Bring her to me! The forest became a deadly chess game. One of Mom's men discovered Brenner's hiding spot, only to fall victim to her carefully laid trap. Another followed, meeting his end at the barrel of her gun. Each death was a message. The hunter had become the hunted. In a quiet moment between battles, Brenner and Emily shared a vulnerable conversation. Emily's revelation about her pregnancy came with tears of fear. If Mom catches me, she couldn't finish the thought. Brenner's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. I'm going to get you out of here and you'll get your life back, okay? The promise carried the weight of her military oath, a vow to protect the innocent. But Mom had one last card to play. Hunk, her special enforcer, entered the forest with his pack of trained dogs. The hunt intensified, leading to Emily's capture the next morning. But they'd underestimated Brenner's resolve. She struck with surgical precision, eliminating the threat just as Sheriff Hobbs arrived on scene. The situation escalated quickly. One of Hunk's surviving men shot Hobbs in the leg, but Brenner's reflexes proved faster. Her bullet found its mark before the enemy could fire again. In the aftermath, she and Emily worked together to move the wounded sheriff to safety, their unlikely alliance growing stronger with each passing moment. In the blood-soaked forest, three desperate souls found common cause: a warrior seeking justice, a mother-to-be fighting for freedom, and a lawman discovering the rot in his own backyard. Together, they prepared for the final confrontation with Mom's evil empire. "We need a diversion," Brenner told the wounded Sheriff Hobbs, her tactical mind working overtime. "They'll keep coming, and this location is becoming a liability." Their decision to abandon the hideout led them along a stream, where fate seemed to smile upon them. The same female officer who had warned Brenner and Dillon appeared like an answer to their prayers. Hope flickered briefly as the officer offered them shelter in her patrol car. Exhaustion overtook both Brenner and Emily as they finally felt safe enough to close their eyes. That moment of peace proved to be their undoing. They awoke to a nightmare, Mom's leering face and her armed men surrounding them. The female officer stood among them, her earlier warning revealed as a spider's web, yet another thread in Mom's vast network of corruption. The betrayal cut deep, but worse was yet to come. During the torture that followed, Emily's desperate revelation about carrying Butch's child changed the dynamic instantly. Mom's eyes glittered with possessive interest, ordering her men to separate the pregnant girl from Brenner. But Emily proved herself more than just a victim. When bringing food to Brenner's torture chamber, she eliminated the guard and freed her protector. The final confrontation exploded in violence. Brenner burst into the room where Mom's men gathered, her military training turning her into a whirlwind of lethal precision. Bodies fell one by one, but Mom had saved her cruelest move for last. With a knife pressed against Emily's throat, she forced an impossible choice. The attack from behind gave Mom her opening. Before Brenner could recover, the knife slashed and Emily's life ebbed away on the floor. Mom escaped in the chaos, leaving Brenner to cradle yet another lost soul. The young mother-to-be who had trusted her with her dreams of freedom. 3 months passed. In a peaceful garden, Mom sat enjoying the morning sun, believing herself finally safe from retribution. A text message lit up her phone. Judgment Day. The single bullet that followed was almost anticlimactic. A precision shot from a camouflaged position in the distant trees. Brenner lowered her rifle. Justice finally served for Dillon, for Emily, for all of Mom's victims. As she melted away into the forest, she left behind a trail of vengeance fulfilled, but the weight of loss would forever mark her path. Some victories taste like ashes, even when justice is served. The forest whispered its secrets to the wind, and Brenner disappeared into legend, a ghost story told in whispers about the soldier who brought down an empire of evil, one bullet at a time. But legends, like revenge, come with a price, and Brenner had paid in full.